Well, good morning. I'm trying not to slouch here. Pay no attention to me. I'm getting rid of something. Woo! I'm doing my video early. Right now it's almost 7:30 in the morning. I'm hoping to be done by 8 and start uploading this. And while I'm uploading it, I'm going to go get breakfast because I'm hungry. I really am. It's a weird morning. What can I say? It was weird. It's been a bad week. Last night I went out and had a rather expensive dinner. Yeah, I had like a couple of cocktails and I had a swordfish entree, which was really good, but it was expensive. The entree itself was like normally what I would spend for a dinner for me at like one of my cheaper hangouts. And then I had this lemon curd dessert, which was just fabulous. And yeah, it was pricey, but I needed it. I needed to get out last night. This last week, really wasn't the best. It was low hormone week. That's always a treat. It was low hormone week. I had stuff to do at work, which was driving me nuts. I had 3 nights of practice. And on top of all of that, my left shoulder was hurting all day yesterday. It was just, I don't know. I strained something and I was just in an enormous amount of pain all day. And my bra strap is riding right on it. So the whole time I'm like yanking on my bra strap because it's driving me crazy. And I was doing it like this. Well, of course, when you're doing it like this, I'm aggravating the shoulder muscle even more and more. So by the time I got home last night, I was just like out of it. I went out without a bra last night to dinner because I just hurt so much. And I've got a sports bra on right now. I have a sports massage scheduled for 12:45 today, and it's for an hour. Man, I am gonna soak that sucker. I mean, I need it bad. Yeah, I need it really bad. And then tonight, from 5 to 8, I will be doing the Walk Out of Darkness walk. It's something that I've always wanted to do and never have. This is the first year I'm actually going to do it. And it's for raising funds for suicide prevention, to help with people who are affected by suicide. Well, I'm affected by that simply because, I've attempted it a few times. The most recent time was a couple of years ago in November of 2015 when I nearly jumped off a bridge. I came within about a minute of doing that, and the only thing that stopped me from doing it was, believe it or not, being put on hold on a hotline. Seriously, I was put on hold on a suicide hotline. I think I've told you this story before. And I just found it so ridiculously funny that I said, okay, it ain't time yet. Let's go home. So, yeah, it's going to be a thing for me. my shoulders still hurt. I think I aggravated them the other night doing planks. I was supposed to do an easy night of planks last night, and I didn't because my shoulders were just screaming. It's just like no way I was going to plank. I'm going to try to do it today after I get back from my massage. But one of the things I'm supposed to be doing is with an exercise ball. I don't own an exercise ball, so I don't know what the hell. I think I'm going to have to improvise. I'm going to take the back off my chair, and which shouldn't be hard to do because, believe it or not, the back of my chair is broken. And I think I'll use that instead because I just don't have an exercise ball. It's like, I'm not going out and buying an exercise ball just so I could do planks. And besides, I have nowhere to. I have no way of blowing the damn thing up. I'd have to find one that's already inflated, and yeah, I'll forget about it. I just ain't gonna do it. I am thinking about buying a medicine ball because someone from the York team was actually showing exercises that she does to work your core where you're going back and forth, and she was using, I think, a 12-pound medicine ball, and she said, you know, this is a great way to work your core, which will help your back, and they know I have issues with my back, so I need to do stuff like that. Yeah, it's part of what was really stressing me out this week is that I had a couple of practices. Well, actually, all three practices were pretty trying. I'm still trying to get my plows down, and I can't. I know what it is. I noticed it. It's when I start to go into a plow, my knees start to hurt because they're not strong enough yet. And I watched a video of me doing a plow, and I noticed I go in proper plow form, and then once the pressure starts in on my knees, I stand up. And even just a little bit of standing up, it completely ruins whatever the hell it is you're trying to do. So gotta really work. I need stronger ankles, stronger knees, and I'm thinking of actually getting a knee brace for my right knee because I think that might help some. I don't know, but it couldn't hurt. And since I'm gonna have a knee pad over it anyway, it's not like it's not gonna be seen, but I think that's part of it. I have aches and pains that some of the other kids don't have. And when I say kids, I mean, there's, even some of the people that are like in their 30s, they're half my age. They're almost half my age. But this week really started trying to do things that I haven't done before. One of the things I did was an apex leap. And an apex leap is you jump across the apex of a turn. You actually cut the turn. If the turn is like this, at some point you actually just jump across the inside line. And you don't leap like you're leaping like that. The way you do an apex jump is you just get up a lot of speed, and then you basically pop yourself up in the air. You're in a squat, and then you start to come up, and you raise one foot off the ground, and you raise the other foot off the ground, and go through the air, and then when you come down, you put one foot down, you put the other foot down. It's not jumping per se, it's really just getting up a lot of speed and getting your feet off the ground. The combination of the two carries you the distance. And the coach down in New York, because that's where we first did it. Well, that's the only place I've done it, was down in New York. And she looked at me and my friend who came down from Hard, and she says, "You guys don't have to do this if you think it's going to scare the shit out of you." I looked at her. I said, "No, I want to do this." I said, "I've been waiting to do this for a while." I said, "I don't care if I fall or not." I did not fall. Didn't do great leaps, but I did not fall. It was just, it was a lot of fun. But we were doing other things. My plows suck. I'm trying to break a bad habit I have of when I do a reverse toe stop. Because if I turn to my left, I don't get my left foot down. I get my right foot down and then I spin, which is not really good. And what it ends up doing is, since you're doing it on your right foot, you're unscrewing your toe stop. So at some point when you do that, if your toe stop is about ready to fall out, you go to do that and the toe stop pops out and you can hurt yourself. So I'm trying to learn to turn more to my right, because when I do that, I tend to get my left foot down first and then I get my right foot behind me. But the problem I've got there is I'm thinking about it. That's the thing, and you shouldn't think about it. And when you start thinking about it, that's why I ran into a wall. I haven't posted the video yet. I haven't edited it, but I got confused trying to figure out which way I was going to turn, and I actually backed into a wall while still moving. And I think that's one of the reasons why my right shoulder hurts, because I took the brunt of the impact on my right shoulder. Actually hit a wall. And then I got hurt. I've been falling down a lot this week. We've had to, you have the rink goes like this, long ways, and then across like this, shorter. We actually walked like this, back and forth, like 6 or 8 times on our toe stops. Just got up on our toe stops and ding, 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 walked across and then came back. And I noticed that part of it was when we were trying to do, when we were doing plows, our coach said, "Just come at me, come at me quick." And I was actually trying to take off on my toe stops. And I managed at one point to get 2 steps on my toe stops before I stopped. And she said, "I like that you're doing that." And then everybody else started doing it too. A lot of other people were doing it. So, it was like, okay, I started something here. But yeah, it was frustrating. I actually got to the point when I was working on crossovers and I fell down hard when doing crossovers. And I actually had trouble getting back up because I was just so frustrated with what was going on. I felt like, I'm not getting anywhere. This is really driving me crazy. And you start having those thoughts that I'm no good, I'm never going to certify, I'm never going to play. And I went over to the side and leaned over the wall and just cried for like 2 minutes straight. And, my teammates are ignoring it, because that's one of the things you do. And I have a tendency to break down a lot. Well, not a lot, but I've done it more than a few times. And your teammates ignore it. They know you're having a difficult time and they let you cry it out. And I actually, my coach had to see it because she was looking right at me when I turned, and I had this look on my face like, son of a bitch. And my face was just covered with tears and I had snot running out of my nose. And I went out and did it again, just started doing it again. It was like, you cry out the frustration. And then just get back up and do it again. That's one of the things we like to say in Derby. Well, there's a couple of things we like to say. One of the things I posted before is there's 2 rules. Rule number 1 is don't quit. Rule number 2 is see rule 1. which is kind of true. And then there's another rule. It's not so much a rule as a saying. It's actually directed toward the freshies like me, but it could also be directed toward the vets. And the saying is, everybody falls down. What matters is how quickly you get back up. And that is true. You could take like the most horrific fall in your life. And there's been a couple of times during practice where I've fallen hard and just been so frustrated that I want to pack up and go. And it's better to actually just roll off to the side and cry out your frustration than to do something impulsive like, take off all your gear and leave. Because the second option is really kind of bullshit. It's, again, you're giving up on a dream. And you don't want to do that. So it's better to just cry out your frustration and move forward. And it actually reminds me a little bit about riding as well. I know you're going to say, how does roller derby relate to riding? Well, both of them are skills. Skating and, as we like to say, hitting bitches. Hit some bitches. That takes skill. You develop muscle memory to know how you should move on your skates, how you should react, what are the rules, that sort of thing. And it's real easy to give up because it is work. It is frustrating. It's like I told my sort of teammate down in York, Aw Shucks, that's her derby name, Aw Shucks. She's really nice. She's been good to me ever since we started practicing together. But I was talking to her a little bit last night, and I said, I've never had to train to be an athlete before. And it is you are training to be an athlete. Don't let anybody bullshit you. This is not, put you on skates and get out there, you just fumble around and get slaughtered. You actually have to know what the hell you're doing before you go out. And I said, I've never had to do this. And it can get so frustrating. And she said, I went through the same thing. She says, I'm still training. She says, and you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to go to practice. You have to be willing to put in a couple of days out of the week to do things like, do squats, do lunges, work on your core. She said, you have to be willing to do that to get good. She's been doing it for 3 years, and she said, there's still things I can't do. There's still things I'm working on. I even heard their coach, Devour. You gotta love our derby names. Devour, Aw Shucks. When they were getting ready to do scrimmage practice and the freshies were going off to the side, she told Shucks, she goes, I want you working on this. I want you working on this because I think I know what they wanted her to work on. Because Shucks admitted after their last bout that she's got a weakness, and the other team picked up on it right away, and it hurt her throughout the rest of the bout. So I think that's what Devour was hinting at. She goes, I want you working on this. So it's a skill. You develop muscle memory and you develop all these things over time by doing it. That's really what it is. I mean, one of my friends on the team, one of my teammates, she said the way she got crossovers, she learned how to do crossovers because the coach pulled her aside and she says, I just want you to skate and do crossovers and don't stop until I tell you to stop. And she said she basically skated for an hour straight doing crossovers until she got them. So That's it. And writing is the same way. When I started with writing, I think when anyone starts with writing, you have this grandiose idea of how you're going to do things. I think everybody thinks they're going to sit down and they're going to write this fantastic story and they're going to write, a fantastic novel and all this other stuff. And it's usually once you're a few thousand words into it that you actually realize this is a lot of work. And it is. Writing is work. It truly is. And anyone who doesn't think it isn't work has never tried it. It's like Derby. I know there are people out there like, that's not a sport. You just a bunch of girls going around, pretending to be athletes. Yeah. Come out and do a 2-minute jam with us on skates, bitch. Then tell us about how it's fake. Writing's the same way. And you find yourself getting frustrated at times. I got frustrated a lot when I first started writing. In fact, I famously spoke about the fact that my first novel, which will likely always remain unpublished, it took me 20 years to finish. I quit on it 2 different times. Simply because I didn't know what I was doing. That's the biggest problem. I really did not know what I was doing. And you get frustrated. And you get to the point where you don't want to go on. Because it's too much work. It really is. You have to put in the time. You have to sit down. You have to be willing to type and think up these things and do the research. Do all the things that are necessary to get your story to work. Again, it's work. It's practice. It's developing muscle memory, knowing what to do, how to plot, how to work out characters, how to develop them. And the rules come into play as well. In Derby, we have to know the rules. We have to know when we're doing what we call a clockwise block, which I'm kind of bad at. We also have to know when we're doing what's called a multiplier block. We have to know when we're doing a back block or a low block, or where we can hit a person and not hit a person. Yeah. There are zones on the body that you are allowed to hit. If you hit anywhere outside those zones, you may not also can't even talk. You may not just get a penalty. You may get ejected from a game. Yeah, Shucks told us one night that her very first penalty was she came roaring around a corner. She was jamming, and she came roaring around a corner, and she went to plow, and she couldn't stop. So she just ran into the pack. She was like, "Oh, here it goes," and she just plowed into the pack because she couldn't stop, and she knocked down like a couple of people from the pack, and she was ejected from the game because that's something you're not supposed to do. They determined that you can hit someone and kind of knock them down. You can hit someone. There's a definitive difference between laying on a good hit and someone goes down because of it, because they weren't in the proper position or you got them just right and they lost their balance, to what Chuck said was she just bowling balled the pack. She just flew into them and just, bowled them over, and they were like, "You're out of the game, leave," because you're not supposed to do that. You could actually mess people up bad. So you have to know those rules. And in writing, the rules are, how do you do your paragraphs? How do you do When do you put in periods? When do you put in commas? When do you put in colons? I know there are some people that say you never use a semicolon. And I've found that I almost never use a semicolon anymore, because where you could use a semicolon, colons work. I used to use semicolons all the time, and I think it was Kurt Vonnegut said something to the effect of, like, you know, someone who uses semicolons all the time is just showing off that they know how to use a semicolon. Writing's the same way. And you can get lazy in writing. I've been getting that way, mostly because I've been tired, but mostly also because, you know, it's such a grind at times. It is. And I've been finding excuses not to write. But even though it's a grind at times, you gotta do it. You really do. You gotta do it if you want to accomplish what you're setting out to do. And you also have to push yourself. Like I said, one of the reasons I've been falling down a lot this week is because I'm doing stuff I've never done before. I'm pushing myself. And I fell down a lot when I first started. Why? Because I was pushing myself to do stuff. And then I got those things to the point where I got comfortable with it. So I wasn't falling down as much. I was like, yeah, this is fun. Now I'm pushing myself to do, it's more footwork now. I'm pushing myself to do it. And you make mistakes, you fall down. It hurts. But that's the only way you learn. In like another month or so, I won't be falling down as much. And I'll have that done. One of the things that can cause you to fall down in writing is when you get to something that is hard to write. It can be hard for personal reasons. I've mentioned before, there are scenes that I have written that I'm mortified to actually write them, simply because it hits you hard personally. And you're like, yeah, this happened to me. This is really difficult to get through. I've been in situations where I've written scenes and then had to cry afterwards because it brought up too many bad emotions. There are also scenes that you're going to write that you worry about how they're going to be accepted. I ran into this with the situation now with Carrie. I was like, when I first thought about this, it was 6 years ago. And I always knew I was going to get to this point. The thing is, you start to get to where it's almost time to start writing, and you're like, am I getting too weird? Too weird here, you know? I went through it when I was setting it up for the B-level novel, and, you know, you're having to go through some strange things. And there's a few things that are going to come across in some of the following scenes that are it's gonna seem a little weird. You're not gonna see any of this stuff, but there will be things mentioned. And you sit there and you go, wow. You know I'm going to write this stuff, but I really feel strange writing it because I feel like I'm having to push myself to write something that's difficult. And it's going to be like that, I think, through a lot of the novel from here on out. A couple of the things like, you know, Annie going off with Guardians. You know it's not going to be a picnic. Come on. Anyone who says, oh, Cassie, you're not going to do anything bad to Annie, are you? You really have not been paying attention for the last million words or so, have you? You know, Do you think Carrie's Polar Express is going to be done by the numbers? Do you? And there will be an incident that will involve both Annie and Carrie that I can tell you right now, some of you guys are going to read it. You're going to be like, holy shit, I don't believe you're doing this. You are so bad. Yeah, you know. You push yourself to write, just like you push yourself to develop athletic abilities. And sometimes pushing yourself in your story means going places that are going to be painful, that are going to hurt, that may even shock a little bit. And that's some of the places I'm at right now, where I'm heading with the story, is that there will be things that are going to come up in the novel that, you know, some people, it's a quantum leap almost in terms of where things are going. You know, but we've crossed that line already. You know, Carrie's sitting there in her girl pajamas going, I can't hardly touch the floor now, because she's, you know, like 2.5 inches shorter. So her legs are shorter, so it's like, I'm not touching the floor as well as I used to. But, you know, let's just be honest. When Carrie goes off to spend Yule holiday with Annie, do you not think that Victor is going to want to have a talk with the boy? You know, talk about, and you know, it's coming. There will be a point where Victor's like, Carrie, let's talk. You know, Carrie's 13 years old, and Annie's father is basically going to be sizing him up, you know, to see what his feelings are for his daughter. And, you know, that's kind of embarrassing. You know he will. He's going to. And Carrie probably half suspects it as well. You know, what would even be worse is if if Pavlena is like, Carrie, could you come in the kitchen and help me for a moment? Nobody else is in the house. And it's like, so, tell me what you've been doing with Annie. What do you mean, doing? Yeah. It's going to be kind of... Carrie's going to be in a bad position. You never know. It could happen to Annie, too. Maybe Pavlena's going to haul Annie off, and it's like, so, daughter of mine, I know what I was doing with your father when I was your age. Tell me about your exploits, Mama. What do you mean? Oh, please. We all know. Witches mature fast. Yeah, see, that's the problem. Pavlena and Victor both went to the same school. And they know what they were doing during their C-levels. So it's like, wonder what Annie's up to. That's got to be a pain in the butt for the parents, because they know the sort of shenanigans they got up to when they were at Salem, and now their daughter has a boyfriend from like the moment she walked through the gates, and so they're probably like in denial. Oh no, Annie's a good girl. Annie's not doing anything. Annie's they don't know about Annie's little hidey hole that she found. So, there you go. I kind of rambled on today about pushing yourself, about things that happen. I'll have, I hope to have the rest of the excerpt out tomorrow. Probably have part of it. Probably put the rest of it out on Monday. I just realized looking at the date today, I have actually got to start recapping again next week. Probably have to put out a recap on like Tuesday. Damn, got to get back into that grind for the next, I think, 6 or 7 weeks. So anyway, coming up on 35 minutes. So I hope you found this enjoyable. I hope you found it informative. And if not, screw it. This is me. This is what I do. Okay, take care, y'all. Bye.